Good morning, Commissioners and those in attendance and at home. Today is July 13th, 2009, and we are convened for the purpose of presenting our budget. Commissioners, for the past 6 years, we've worked together to transform Orlando into a city of progress, a city of opportunity, a city on the rise. Most importantly, we've worked to ensure that Orlando is a safe place to live, work, and raise a family. We've made certain that every new property tax dollar has been spent on public safety, while we've reduced the size of government everywhere else. Despite our hard work, our city is entering uncharted territory because of the global economic crisis and the effects of state-mandated property tax reform. And we're not alone. City, county, and state governments across the nation have been pushed to the breaking point. But the job of making sure that Orlando endures this challenge falls uniquely on us as responsible stewards of public money. We weren't elected to office just to handle the easy stuff. We were given the opportunity to serve so that we might make these difficult decisions and do what is necessary when times get tough. That is the definition of leadership. Commissioners, even though we're confronting a deficit, even though we must reduce the size of our city government for the long haul, even though we face perhaps the biggest test of our public service careers, I am confident that this City Council will meet this challenge head-on with vision and resolve, without excuses, without apologies. Abraham Lincoln said, "You cannot escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading it today." Our budget doesn't shy away from our responsibility. It's a long-term solution. This budget, combined with the action we take today in setting the millage rate, keeps Orlando on course toward a better future by accomplishing 4 strategic goals. First, lower the tax burden on our residents at a time when it's desperately needed. Lower the tax burden on our businesses, allowing our businesses to save jobs. Preserve core city services while drastically reducing the size of government to meet the demands of this crisis. And fourth, use a responsible portion of our reserves while maintaining the fiscal health of our city. Earlier this year, it was clear that the recession, combined with the effects of state-imposed revenue limitations, drastically reduced the city's anticipated revenues for the next several years and left our budget in a state of structural imbalance. This means that our city will see an increase in cost and a decrease in revenues for the foreseeable future. In the upcoming fiscal year, that imbalance means an estimated deficit of $40.3 million. In the years ahead, we will see larger deficits unless we make a change. That change begins with a decision to give our residents tax relief. In order to secure even the same ad valorem revenue that the city received last year, it would take a dramatic increase in the property tax rate. Increasing the tax rate would be a simple fix, rather than developing a long-term strategy and implementing fundamental changes. Again, we were not elected to do what is easiest. We're here to do what's in the best interest of our residents. So I made clear in the State of the City address in February, I am unwilling to raise taxes at a time when families are struggling just to get by. So the first part of our budget proposal is to hold the line on taxes. By doing this, we're actually providing a needed savings to residences and to businesses. We give them a chance to reinvest money in their families, their homes, and their businesses. If we hold the line on taxes, more than half of our homeowners are going to pay substantially less in the upcoming year. Another 30% will see an increase of right around $1. This is the kind of tax relief our residents need to make it through this recession. If raising taxes is not the solution, then the only way to balance our budget is to cut costs and reduce the size of government. Much like our residents who must make choices about what to spend their money on during difficult times, the best option to overcome this challenge is to decide where the city can scale back its expenses while continuing to serve residents in the highest levels possible. In March, our senior management team began this process by crafting 12% reduction plans for each city department. Every employee was invited to be part of this process, along with our union representatives. We've worked together over the past 5 months to refine these budget packages, and the result is the recommendation before you today. This is a balanced budget based on factors that we can control. I felt it was vital to lead the way in cutting costs, So early in the process, I announced that all appointed officials would be subject to a salary freeze and required to take a 1-week unpaid furlough, among other reductions that effectively reduces their planned 09-010 salaries by about 6%. At our most recent budget workshop in June, our finance team gave you a comprehensive list of citywide service cuts contained in the budget. Each department took advantage of every opportunity to reduce costs in an effort to minimize potential layoffs. That list includes measures that making jobs more efficient. Saving money in the police department by having officers enter their reports by themselves using new technology rather than an outdated and more costly method where they pass the reports on to data entry personnel. We found savings in our fleet department by reducing the number of managers and creating one extended shift. We're replacing large portions of St. Augustine grass in the city with Bahia. This new grass requires substantially less mowing and watering and will save the city money. The list of cuts also includes elimination or reduction of many services, eliminating our downtown ambassador program and our downtown cleaning crew, the elimination of a full-time OPD mounted patrol, the elimination of our public arts coordinator position and city-supported museum exhibits, a reduction in maintenance of City Hall, an almost complete reduction of holiday decorations, a drastic reduction in landscaping, irrigation, and mowing cycles, reduced pool and community center hours. These cuts will save us money, but they only take us part of the way toward overcoming our projected deficit. Because the vast majority of the city's budget consists of salaries and benefits, the reduction necessary to bridge the gap is simply not possible without eliminating positions. Again, I felt it critical to lead by example. Last week, I announced the mayor's executive offices would cut a total of 12 positions. The current budget plan includes the elimination of a total of 313 positions, of which 212 are filled. It includes unfortunate but necessary position cuts to our two biggest departments, police and fire. From the beginning, we've worked to conduct this extremely difficult process with compassion, integrity, and transparency. Those employees whose positions have been identified for elimination were notified in May. Those employees and all members of our city workforce have received constant communication and information about the budget process and what impacts it will have on our workforce. This includes pension and health care benefits information, counseling services and information about job training workshops and other classes available to employees. We also offered employees the opportunity to take a voluntary separation package, including those positions which were identified for elimination. We are currently in the final stages of determining what impact those voluntary separations will have on our budget, but we do know the impact will be positive. Commissioners, in our roles as stewards of public money, our most important job will be making sure our city is financially stable. The final piece of our plan is the responsible use of our reserves, enabling us to bridge the remaining portion of the budget gap while at the same time maintaining the city's financial health. As I said before, the plan before you today is a balanced budget based on the factors that we as a council can directly control. We're in the midst of a nationwide economic mess. It's affecting the city differently than anything we've dealt with before. So we're going to have to think differently and act differently in attacking this challenge. In recent years, I presented a complete budget proposal to you on the same day I gave this budget address. But today, the budget in front of you is what I would call still a work in progress. If nothing changes between now and September, this balanced budget will stand. But we hope a number of factors outside our control will make some of the cuts and position eliminations unnecessary. We're in the process of applying for 2 different federal stimulus grants that would allow us to preserve many, if not all, of the position cuts in police and fire. These are newly available competitive federal funds that are designated specifically to aid cities like Orlando who have determined they must make cuts to those departments. We're also seeking resources outside the city to preserve and maintain services, chiefly from a variety of funds that are available through the federal stimulus program. Everything from road repair to stopping domestic violence to helping our fleet become more energy efficient. We're also in contact with each of our bargaining units and hope that we're able to stave off some of those personnel cuts with the discussions with the bargaining units. As I have said earlier, the number of voluntary separations could also help to lessen the need for layoffs. All of these factors mean one thing. Our work on the budget is going to require more refinement as we enter the end of the summer and move into the fall. Now, looking at the big picture, this budget emphasizes our core services. Our total budget is reduced by $47 million. Our general fund is reduced by $9 million. The only departments in city government that will see an increase in their budget next year are police, fire, and public works. This budget does not paint a rosy picture today, but it's important to remember that the picture is not bleak either. The plan that we've developed balances hard realities with hard choices. This budget preserves many of the important projects and priorities we have set as a community. In the coming months, downtown's new fire headquarters is set to open, along with a new police training facility. We've made sure that there's money in this budget to maintain tools and training for our police and firefighter. This investment will help ensure the long-term safety of our residents. The community venues will continue to progress without any general fund dollars. Right now at the event center site, jobs are being created and companies are staying afloat because of the positive economic impact. And through our Strengthen Orlando program, we continue to leverage partnerships across our community to help residents and businesses weather the storm during these tough times. Later today, during our regular City Council meeting, we will vote on the proposed millage to be set out in the trim notices for fiscal year 2009-2010. Holding this millage rate steady and putting money back in the pockets of our residents is a critical first step to the strategy we are recommending. The other elements of the strategy are going to require some heavy lifting on our part and the ability to think differently and use every opportunity to cut costs. Our Orlando Magic, in their run to the NBA Finals, gave us an interesting lesson on how we might approach our task. Many times, the Magic found themselves behind by large margins early in the game. But they didn't go into crisis mode. They knew there was a lot of game left. They knew they could not miraculously bridge that deficit with just one shot. The team had to make adjustments, and they had to be willing to change their game as the situation demanded. They had to make small gains when they were given the chance. They had to be creative. When the entire team embraced this game plan as a unit, good things happened. Bucket by bucket, they climbed back and erased that deficit. Commissioners, it's time for us to embrace that spirit. We are early in the game when it comes to the long-term effects of this global financial crisis on our city. But I firmly believe if we follow this strategy and are open to embracing change and making gains where we can, we will come out ahead. If we put money back in residents' pockets, responsibly reduce the size of government, we will put our city in a position to endure this hardship and surge ahead once our national economy recovers. Thank you very much. Our City CFO, Rebecca Sutton, Deputy CFO, Ray Elwell, and Chief Administrative Officer, Byron Brooks, are now invited to come up and begin a more detailed presentation on our budget strategy, which will also include PowerPoint.